The marketplace on Zeta 9 was always busy. Creatures from every corner of the galaxy came there to trade, talk, and explore. But that day, something happened that made the crowd go silent. A tall Zarkari warrior with red armor and glowing eyes walked through the crowd. He looked angry, proud, and dangerous. Behind him, dragging her feet and crying softly, was a small human girl. Her clothes were torn, and her face had a bruise. The crowd stared in horror. Everyone knew the law. It was the one rule no one dared to break. Galactic Law 7. Never harm or touch a human child. That rule had been in place for over 100 years. It wasn't just a law, it was a warning. No one truly knew what humans would do if that line was crossed. But there were rumors, old stories, whispers of what had happened the last time someone tried. The Zarkari warlord didn't care. He pulled the girl forward and shouted, "This one is proof! Proof that humans are not gods! They bleed like the rest!" His voice echoed through the marketplace. No one clapped. No one cheered. Instead, some aliens slowly backed away. A Sarn diplomat dropped his datapad. A Yaru trader fainted. A silent wave of fear spread across the crowd like poison. Within minutes, the footage went viral. News stations froze. Social feeds across the galaxy filled with one phrase: "They took a human child." The Galactic Council called an emergency session. Their great hall, floating above the planet Cirrus Prime, buzzed with panic. Alien leaders argued, shouted, and shook their heads. "Do they understand what they've done?" one asked. "They must return the child before Earth responds," said another. But Earth didn't respond. Not immediately. On the blue planet, the skies were calm. No missiles launched. No warships left orbit. No words were spoken from Earth's side. But far away, in a dark bunker buried deep under the Colorado mountains, a red light blinked for the first time in decades. A man with gray hair and tired eyes walked into the room. He stared at the blinking signal. He opened a sealed metal case. Inside was an old military badge and a black uniform. He stared at it for a moment, then whispered, "They touched our child." His voice was soft, but it carried weight, like a storm ready to rise. The next hour, 6 old satellites around Earth came alive. They hadn't moved in years, but now they turned. They began sending encrypted messages to deep space. Human fleets that had gone dark years ago were suddenly awake. Subspace gates buzzed with movement. Trade ships vanished from their usual paths. Humans didn't say anything. They just started moving. Back on Zeta 9, the Zarkari celebrated. "The humans are quiet," one soldier laughed. "They are afraid." But the older aliens said nothing. One merchant closed his stall early and ran. Another erased all contact with the Zarkari. "You fools," a three-eyed Goran said. "They are not afraid. They are waiting." In the Galactic Council, fear turned into desperation. A message was sent directly to Earth. "Return message requested. Peace talks open. No war. Just talk." No reply came. Meanwhile, the human girl sat alone in a cell. Her name was Lily. She was only 7 years old. She missed her parents. She held a small teddy bear close to her chest and tried not to cry. She whispered, "Mommy, Daddy." The walls around her were cold metal. Cameras watched her every move. One Zarkari guard stood outside. He felt a shiver run down his spine. "Why is it so cold?" he asked another. But the temperature was fine. It wasn't the room, it was something else. A feeling, like something was watching, something old, something angry. Suddenly, in the far edge of space, near the borders of Zarkari territory, a strange ripple appeared. It was not a ship, not yet. It was just a signal, a whisper in the dark. But it carried one message, clear, cold, and final. "We are coming." The council begged the Zarkari to release the child. They refused. "They're bluffing," their general said. "The humans won't risk war over one child." But deep down, even he felt a tightness in his chest. On a silent moon, far from the eyes of the galaxy, a single human stepped off a black ship. No name, no rank, no armor. Just quiet steps on cold ground. His eyes were calm, but his face was hard as stone. He opened a device and spoke just 2 words. Target confirmed. Back on Earth, the skies remained quiet. But in space, old weapons turned. Hidden ships opened their hatches, and the galaxy finally understood. Humans had not forgotten the law. They had just waited for it to be broken. The first part of this story was not a battle. It was a warning. A line had been crossed. And now, the response had begun. Start with suspense. Hook. The Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. Leaders from across the galaxy filled the grand hall, nervous, sweating, and shouting. The Zarkari had taken a human child. That alone could start a war. But the real problem? Earth hadn't responded. Not even one word. No message, no demand, no threat. The silence was worse than war. Story continues. "Maybe they didn't see the news?" a small Gaxan ambassador asked, voice shaking. "They saw it," a tall Varnian snapped. "They see everything. They are just thinking." Everyone in the room went quiet at that word. Thinking. When humans go silent, they are not ignoring. They are preparing. The Zarkari stood proud in the council chamber. General Krith, with silver armor and a cruel smile, said, "This law is outdated. Humans are just another species. Why should we fear them?" The Gorn representative glared at him. "Because we remember the last time they were crossed." Krith laughed. "They bleed like the rest." Back on Earth, the skies remained calm. People went to work. Children went to school. No ships launched. But underground, something else was happening. A quiet bunker deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean lit up. Old satellites realigned. Stealth carriers vanished from their orbits. War AI systems came online. Systems so old and dangerous they hadn't been touched in 200 years. A single order was given across dozens of black sites. Do not engage, prepare only. And still, no message. Council reactions. The Council sent 10 peace offers to Earth. All were ignored. One ambassador from the peaceful Lari race begged, "Please send someone. Talk to them. Anything." But the humans didn't answer. They were listening, watching. Behind locked doors, the Human Defense Network reviewed footage of the child. Her name was confirmed, Lily Carter, age 7, daughter of 2 diplomatic envoys who had gone missing 2 days before. The video of her being dragged by the Dindi Zarkari was replayed again and again. Her face was scared. Her hands trembled, and in a small room, a retired operative named Gabriel Voss watched the clip. He stood slowly, picked up his gear, and said just one word, "I'll go." Meanwhile, in Zarkari space, the Zarkari Empire was celebrating. Their news programs mocked human silence. Their generals claimed victory before the war even started. Where is their response? One shouted, "Where is the fury we were warned about?" But in the dark corners of space, something was moving. Human freighters began to vanish, not attacked, but hidden. Trade between human colonies stopped. Subspace channels between Sol and outer sectors went dead. It was like Earth had taken a deep breath. And still, no words. Other species begin to panic. The peaceful trolley race began evacuating border systems. The Varnian fleet moved closer to neutral zones. Pirates abandoned their routes near human space, because everyone understood something the Zarkari refused to believe. When humans speak, you have a chance. But when they are silent, It's already too late. Final scene, Part 2 ending. In a dark part of space, just outside Zarkari territory, a faint ripple appears. A shadow, almost like a ghost, slips out of the distortion. A human scout ship. Small, silent, black as night. It doesn't attack. It doesn't send a signal. It just watches. And then, slowly, it vanishes. Back in the council chamber, the Sarn High Lord stands up and says quietly, "They're not preparing for war. They're preparing for justice." Hook start with suspense. It was supposed to be a routine patrol. 5 Zarkari warships moved through Sector 19, near the border of old human space. They had orders, watch for any human movement. They were fully armed, confident, proud. Then, the scout ship returned, the same small black human vessel seen before. It didn't attack, it didn't speak, it just floated in silence. 2 minutes later, the entire Zarkari fleet vanished. Story continues. No wreckage, no escape pods, no distress calls. The ships didn't explode, they simply ceased to exist. The council received the news in horror. "It's not possible," one shouted. "They didn't even fire a weapon." But the Sarn technician confirmed. The human scout used no known tech, no energy weapons, no missiles. It just scanned them. Then they were gone. Panic spread fast. Back in Zarkari territory, General Krith was furious. "They're using tricks, illusions." But deep inside, even he felt it now. Fear. He ordered 3 fleets to be put on alert. War cruisers, stealth bombers, and shield carriers. He barked orders to every base. "Prepare for human retaliation. We will crush them before they strike." But something was off. The humans weren't rushing in. They weren't shouting threats. They weren't launching a massive fleet. They were just appearing. One scout here, one probe there, a ghost on a radar, a whisper on a signal, and each time, something disappeared. A weapon, a ship, a forward outpost, all gone. No explosions, no sounds, no warnings, just silence. Meanwhile, in human space, Gabriel Voss was on his mission. He had landed on a hidden moon just 2 jumps from the Zarkari prison facility. He was alone, no backup, no army. But that's how humans did things. He watched the guards, mapped the defenses, studied the patrols. One by one, every detail locked into his brain. He whispered, "I'm coming, Lily. Hold on." Far above him, in low orbit, the Black Thorn, a silent human dreadnought, kept its weapons cold, but aimed. Aliens start to leave the Zarkari. Alliance. Other species were watching. Closely. The peaceful Thren broke their treaty with the Zarkari. The Dorian Republic pulled their embassies. Even the feared Var Syndicate sent a single message to Zarkari High Command. "You are on your own." The Zarkari Empire was being abandoned, not by force, but by fear. Everyone knew now, the humans were not sending an army. They were sending a message. Lily, the human child. In her cell, Lily sat quietly. She wasn't crying anymore. She had stopped 2 days ago. She was waiting. She had seen something strange last night, a shimmer in the hallway, like heat in the air. A shadow moved across the wall, even though no one was there. She smiled for the first time in days. "Daddy." "Said humans never leave their own behind," she whispered. "They'll come." Final scene. Part 3, ending. The Zarkari activated their planetary defense grid. Giant guns turned, orbital mines armed. Their capital world was locked down, but on their screens nothing showed, no fleet, no invasion force. Only a small black scout ship, floating alone in orbit. Then the lights inside every Zarkari warship flickered once and went dark. A voice came over the planet's main comm system, calm, cold, human. "You took one child." The guards laughed when the alarms went off. "Probably another sensor glitch," one of them said. But the sound kept rising, low at first, then sharp, then screaming. Security screens turned to static. Doors locked and unlocked by themselves. Lights flickered. One by one, guards began to vanish, and in the shadows of the prison, one man moved like a ghost. His name was Gabriel Voss. He had come alone, but behind him came something far worse. Story continues. Gabriel slipped through the corridors with perfect precision. No wasted movement, no sound. He wasn't a soldier. He was something older, trained long ago, before peace had made the galaxy soft. He used no bullets, no loud weapons. Just silent tools, darts, cloaking mist, code injectors. Each time a guard fell, the system got weaker. In the control room, a Zarkari tech shouted, "Someone is inside! Shut it down!" Too late. Every camera went dark. The gates opened, and deep, inside cell block 9. Lily Carter blinked as her door slid open. The moment they met. Gabriel stepped into the room. Lily looked up. She recognized the patch on his armor, a silver oak tree, the mark of Earth's lost guardians. "You're real," she whispered. He knelt down. "You're safe now." But outside, the sirens screamed louder. They weren't alone. Zarkari. Response. Zarkari troops flooded the corridors. Over 200 armed soldiers, ready to take him down. They thought he'd run. Instead, Gabriel turned and said into his comm, "Package secured. Light the sky." At that moment, the clouds above the prison world split open. From orbit, a storm of fire rained down. Not bombs, not nukes. Something else. Precision strikes, beams of clean white energy, fired from a stealth dreadnought hidden above the atmosphere. Each shot hit exactly one target. Gun towers, hangars, barracks. Boom, boom, boom. The guards looked up, and then were no more. The escape. Gabriel picked Lily up and ran through the collapsing halls. A small dropship hovered just beyond the gates. The AI pilot shouted, "Go, go, go!" They jumped in. The doors slammed shut. The ship blasted into the sky. Behind them, the entire prison complex exploded, quietly, cleanly, erased. Lily stared out the window as the smoke faded. "Is it over?" she asked. Gabriel didn't answer. He looked out at the stars. "No," he said. "Now, it begins." Galaxy in shock. The rescue sent shock waves across the galaxy. News feeds showed the remains of the prison, a smoldering hole where a fortress once stood. The Zarkari Empire declared the act a crime. "Human aggression," they cried. But most species didn't speak. They watched, they listened, and they remembered the warning. Don't touch human kids. Council meeting. Post-rescue, the Galactic Council met again. The prison was on a secret moon, one ambassador said. "How did they find it?" Another whispered. "How did they destroy it with one man and one ship?" But the Varnian delegate stood slowly and answered. "They didn't send an army. They sent a promise." Final scene. Part 4. Ending. Lily. Slept peacefully in a warm bed aboard a hidden Earth ship. Outside, Gabriel stood alone in the viewing chamber, looking down at a burning world far below. He spoke softly into his comm. "Rescue successful. Phase 2 begins now." The Zarkari Empire was furious. One child rescued, one prison world destroyed. One man did it all. Their pride was shattered. And now, they wanted revenge. They launched a fleet, the Iron Vengeance Armada, 70 ships. Carriers, bombers, elite troops. Their target? Earth's outer colonies. They expected weak defenses. They expected fear. What they found was Earth waiting for them. Story continues. The Zarkari ships dropped out of hyperspace near New Horizon. A peaceful human colony. They expected alarms, panic, surrender. Instead, they were greeted by silence. No lights, no signals. The colony looked empty. "This is too quiet," the Zarkari captain growled. "Scan for life." Suddenly, their ships lost power, one by one. Shields dropped, engines failed, comms cut off. Then, out of the asteroid belt, something moved. Not ships. Stations, old human war platforms hidden for centuries, came online. Their weapons glowed red-hot, and in that moment, every Zarkari captain had the same thought. This was a trap. The battle that wasn't. Earth didn't send a fleet to meet them. They didn't need to. The battle stations had no crews. Just AIs, smart, fast, cold. The Zarkari fired first. Missiles flew, plasma cannons roared, but Earth systems were already reacting. Each missile hacked mid-flight. Each cannon jammed by signal interference. Within 90 seconds, 12 Zarkari ships were gone, cut into pieces, drifting like space junk. The rest tried to run, too late. Human hunter drones, small, fast, and invisible, chased them down. One by one, the Zarkari fleet was erased, and not a single human life was lost. Meanwhile, on Earth, Gabriel stood in front of the Earth Command Council. "They made their move," he said. "They lost." The room was quiet. One general asked, "Do we strike their homeworld?" Gabriel shook his head. "Not yet." Another voice spoke. "Admiral Reyes, Earth's fleet commander." "We let them understand first," she said. "Let them feel what it's like to lose, piece by piece. Zarkari panic begins." The Empire tried to cover it up. The fleet was redirected, their leaders lied, but other species had seen everything. Satellite footage leaked. Traders told stories. The humans didn't fight. They just erased them. Fear spread faster than war. Trade routes were abandoned. Zarkari ships were refused docking rights. Worlds began to leave the Empire, and still, Earth stayed silent. Back to Lily. Lily was now safe in a secure Earth station. Doctors said she was strong. She didn't cry anymore. She just asked one question. "Are they coming back?" Gabriel smiled. "They tried." Lily tilted her head. "What happened?" He knelt beside her. "They learned what happens when you hurt one of us." Final scene, Part 5 ending. In deep space, near Zarkari territory, several human stealth ships activated. No signals, no sound, just movement. They weren't here to destroy. They were here to watch, to listen, to map every inch of the Empire, and, in one dark command ship, Admiral Reyes gave a quiet order. "Begin Phase 3. Let them feel hunted." The Zarkari Empire had never begged before. But now, their fleets were broken. Their colonies were scared, and their enemies had become silent ghosts in the dark. The humans were not shouting. They were not invading. They were just watching, waiting, and striking without warning. So the Zarkari leaders did the unthinkable. They asked for peace. But Earth wasn't done. Story continues. A Zarkari ambassador arrived at the edge of human space in a white flag ship. No weapons, just messages of surrender. "We apologize," they said. "We didn't know how dangerous you were. We beg for peace." Earth didn't answer right away. The ambassador waited in orbit for 3 days. No reply, no signal, just silence. Then, on the 4th day, a small human scout ship appeared. It didn't speak. It didn't land. It just broadcast one sentence. "You hurt a child. We are not finished." Inside Earth Command, Gabriel stood before the council. They had full control now, but they weren't cheering. They weren't celebrating. They were focused. "Letting them surrender now," one commander said, "means they'll just rebuild." Another added, "What about the others? What about the species that helped them kidnap Lily?" All eyes turned to Admiral Reyes. She said quietly, "They will all answer, one by one." And so Earth made a list. Every planet, every leader, every ship that helped the Zarkari hurt that little girl, every one of them would pay. Zarkari. Desperation. The Empire began to collapse. Outposts went dark. Supply lines were attacked by invisible ships. Ministers resigned. Generals disappeared. Entire worlds whispered, "The humans are here." Some tried to escape. Others tried to surrender. But Earth only responded with silence, or worse, with a missing fleet. The galaxy began to understand. This wasn't just about war. This was about justice, and Earth was the judge. Lily's strength. Lily was back on Earth now, safe, happy. But she wasn't the same scared child anymore. She trained every day, studied with soldiers, learned how to fight, how to think, how to survive. People called her the galaxy's spark, because her pain had lit the fire. The message spreads. Across the stars, one phrase was whispered again and again. Don't touch human kids. From the smallest trader to the richest noble, the message was clear. If you harm the innocent, if you take what is not yours, the humans will find you, and they will not stop. Final scene, Part 6. Ending. The Zarkari High Council gathered for the last time. One asked, "Can we escape to another galaxy?" Another shook his head. "They are already watching the jump gates." A third whispered, "What do they want?" And far above their planet, hidden in the shadows of a dead moon, a human fleet waited, silent, cloaked, ready. Inside, Admiral Reyes looked out the window. She gave the next order with calm words. "Target. The Zarkari capital. Let them see what fear really feels like. The Zarkari Empire thought it couldn't get worse. Their fleets were gone. Their allies abandoned them. Their capital was surrounded by invisible ships. So they waited for the humans to invade, to destroy everything, to burn their homeworld to ash. But nothing happened, and that silence was more terrifying than war. Story continues. From orbit, Earth's fleet had full control. Targeting systems locked, weapons charged, but no fire came. Instead, a single human shuttle dropped from the sky, unarmed, unguarded. It landed right in the center of the Zarkari capital. Crowds gathered. Soldiers aimed their weapons. And then, the shuttle doors opened. Out walked Gabriel Voss, alone. Behind him walked Lily, stronger now, confident. Her eyes cold like the stars. Gasps filled the air. No one moved. No one dared speak. The message. Gabriel stepped forward and placed a small device on the ground. It projected a voice, Admiral Reyes herself. "You broke the oldest law of the stars. You touched what should never be touched. A child. And now you ask for peace? There will be peace, but only after this warning is clear to all. Harm a human child again, and we will erase your name from history." The crowd was silent. Lily stepped forward, looked into the eyes of a Zarkari general and said, "We remember, and we never forget." Across the galaxy, every news stream broadcast the moment. Aliens in faraway systems watched in silence. On warships and farms, in schools and streets, one message echoed everywhere. The humans didn't conquer, they corrected. And from that day forward, no one ever touched another human child. Not once. Not ever. The future begins. Earth didn't destroy the Zarkari homeworld. They didn't burn cities or take slaves. Instead, they left. Just like that. The fleet vanished into the stars, but the fear remained. The memory remained, and the warning was written in every language. Don't touch human kids. Lily's legacy. Years passed. Lily grew into a leader. She helped build new laws across the galaxy, laws that protected children of all species. Gabriel retired quietly, but his name was legend. And Earth? Earth became a quiet guardian, Never loud, never cruel, just watching, waiting. Ready. Final scene, Part 7. Ending, in a classroom on a distant world. A young alien raised his hand. Teacher, is the story true? Did the humans really destroy fleets for one girl? The teacher smiled sadly. It wasn't just for one girl, she said. It was for every child who couldn't fight back. She paused, then added, and yes, it's all true.